You'll need a cob loaf for this recipe. I went with a sourdough one for a nice rustic look. Using a sharp knife, you want to cut off a lid out of the cob loaf, making sure not to cut all the way through down to the bottom. Rip off the lid, and then you just want to get your hands in there and rip out pieces of the cob loaf. We want to hollow this out a fair bit. And while you're ripping out the pieces, make sure they go into little bite-sized pieces, including the piece from the top. And we're just going to put them aside because we're going to use them later. Now, onto the filling. You'll need a bowl, and into it, we're going to put a 1/4 cup of cooked bacon pieces, 250 grams of softened cream cheese, 300 grams of sour cream, 1/3 cup of shredded tasty cheese, 100 mils of Frank's Red Hot sauce, 3 spring onions that have been chopped up, and 3 tablespoons of milk. Oh, and a chicken breast that has been shredded. And here's the roast chicken breast I prepared earlier. Just pop it into a bowl. Just grab a pair of beaters, and on a low setting, we're going to shred this up. How easy is that? Add this to the bowl as well. Now, just like any hot wing, we want to season it with the basic SPG or salt, pepper, garlic. Sergeant seasoning on board for action. Enemy acquired, preparing to salt. Enemy advancing, reloading with pepper. They just won't stop, finishing off with garlic. Sergeant's shooting blanks. Now, if you're not taking the time to aggressively season your food properly, that should be illegal. Now, I suggest gloving up for this part, and you just want to mix all this up. And if you find that it's too thick, you can add a touch more milk. Aggressive seasoning is recommended. It shows the food who is boss. Place our hollowed out cob loaf onto a tray that is lined with some baking paper. And now we can stuff our mixture into our hollowed out cob loaf. And you want to push it in because there are plenty of little nooks and crannies that we need to fill. And if you have any of this mixture left over, you can always put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it. These cob loaves come in many different shapes and sizes. So this amount of mixture is usually enough, but if you grab a smaller cob loaf, you'll have a little bit left over. Today, I'm using a 57cm Weber kettle, and I'm pairing it up with 1 charcoal basket and Heat Beads original briquettes because I want to be cooking indirectly with a temp of 180 degrees Celsius today. Now, how I'll do that is by filling the charcoal basket with the unlit briquettes. That way I know exactly how much I need. I'll add them to my chimney starter and I'm going to light them up. I'll place the charcoal basket to one side of the charcoal rack, and then once the briquettes are all ashed over, I'll dump them into the basket. And as always, carefully and responsibly, put your grill back in place. One day I'll get it. We'll pop the lid back on, making sure all the vents are wide open, and we're going to let the barbecue heat soak for 10 minutes. Letting your barbecue heat soak is important, because when you lift the lid, put your food in, it gets back to temp a lot quicker. Now, cooking time for this recipe will be 45 minutes. Well, for those of you who love to follow my beer timer, you're looking at a 2-beer cook. Cheers. Once the Weber is warm and at temp, we can put the cob loaf in, keeping it on the opposite side of the lit fuel. Then pop the lid back on, keeping that lid vent over our food. This is going to draw the heat over it. And we can let that bake away for 30 minutes. While the cob loaf is baking away, we can grab all of the extra bits of bread that we ripped up and drizzle over a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And glove up and give all the bread a nice toss. The olive oil adds an extra depth of flavour, and it also helps brown the bread a bit later. The cob loaf has been baking away for 30 minutes, so we can get it out of the Weber. Now, it's not finished yet. We're just going to add the broken up pieces of bread around the Cob Loaf. And we're going to top this off with another 1/3 of a cup of shredded tasty cheese. Now put this back in the Weber for another 15 minutes. Now all the extra oil from the cheese is going to help this from drying out, and it will stay moist. Smut! You're never happy, ever. The hot wing Cob Loaf is ready, so we can get this off the heat. Now we're just going to plate it up, not forgetting to add all of that crunchy bread around the outside. Now just drizzle with some Frank's Red Hot sauce and also some ranch dressing. And eat it. Oh.